Hi, welcome back to the channel, or if it's your first time, welcome. Today we're going to be doing a little different. One is the project that I'm planning. You actually have to remove a part from the car and modify it, which I'll show you here in just a minute. And the other reason is it's a little cold out. And since I can bring this inside with just a few modifications to my lifestyle temporarily, I decided to go ahead and do that. And I'll be working from the comfort of my living room and hopefully not making too much of a mess. And let me turn the camera around here. And here's what we're going to be working on. I am old school, but I'm not too old school that I don't utilize technology, especially when it works really well. In this case, what we're going to be doing is getting rid of the points and condenser in this distributor, and we're going to be switching it over to electronic ignition. There's Buddy, one of our shop dogs, and we're going to be using kit number 1181, made by Pertronics. Did a little research. People seem to have pretty good luck with them, and we'll let you know. Now, as you can see, I've got a little different stand here. Let's see how well this works. Okay. All right. This allows me to keep my hands free, so I'm very happy. And let's go ahead and, excuse me, if you read the instructions, which I actually did, one of the main instructions is that you have to remove the distributor from the engine. I've already done that, and I will let you know right now that I'm not going to be able to complete it according to the instructions because the car is not running yet, so it's going to be put together as much as I can without having to reinstall it in the car and get it running. While you have it apart, you should check, which this seems to be in actually pretty decent condition, but you want to make sure the advance weights and springs move freely, and yeah, this is good. You want to check the end play. Anyway, what's going away is the points and condenser. And I can't remember when the last time was they made them. I'm going to say 74 was the last year that they made points and condenser. After that, I think in 75, at least GM went to electronic ignition entirely. I know that some manufacturers, Chevrolet included, had a electronic ignition as an option. But as far as going to completely electronic, I believe it was around 75, at least for GM. These are the points section of the points and condenser. And before, every time these would open up, it would trigger a spark. And there's a octagonal piece here, since we have 8 cylinders. And every time the points went onto this cam, it would fire. But we're going to be changing that. And I might have to take a look at, yeah. All right. Just wanted to double check, make sure I was still getting in camera. All right, so according to the instructions, go over like that and up through here. Okay, and that's what I wanted to double check. They want us to temporarily hold this in place. So my guess is we don't need this anymore. I don't think the instructions said anything about that, but of course logic would dictate we no longer need to lubricate that. Again, I just do stuff like this to make me look like I don't know what I'm doing. Do a quick cleanup. I guess we can leave that gasket there. It won't hurt anything. All right. Double check again. Okay, I'm not sure how much the time lapse will show. Depends on how much I edit out. But one of the things we want to check is to make sure that the gap in between the magnets, it was a little hard to show, but there's 8 magnets in this wheel here. But you want to make sure that there's anywhere from 10 to 60 thousandths. So we'll, I know I had, my feeler gauges. I brought them in from the garage. There they are. Sorry. Yeah, looks like the thickest I have is 35. And we'll go to really, you don't have a 25. Okay. Interesting. Well, let's go 30. 52. And then we'll do 8 thousandths. And that's 60. Shop dogs are unhappy that there's neighborhood kids playing. Okay. So we're doing 60 thousandths, and it doesn't clear, which is good. So let's take it down to 52. Still doesn't clear. We're still okay. Again, between so what was that? 55. All right. Barely clears. That's perfect. We can go as low as 10 thousandths and still be okay. All right. If what the instructions say, if the gap is not where it should be, then you take and bend this portion here. Hopefully that's showing up and get enough gap. Thankfully I didn't have to. All right. Shims. No, don't need shims. Oh. All right. I'm going to shut the camera off temporarily so I can double check the instructions, because I just noticed something. Okay, I had to reread the instructions because when I did one of these years ago on a different GM car, I remember removing this wire. Now this wire it goes to the negative side of the coil. It's not a ground per se. The instructions say if there is a ground wire, it needs to be reattached. And I was a little confused on whether this should be considered a ground or not. No, it's not. So I can only assume that some models have to have a separate ground wire. Obviously this one doesn't. And it is a cast iron housing, which I'm sure, I don't know. Aluminum conducts electricity just as well. So anyway, what we're going to do then is we're going to remove this wire permanently. Boy, somebody did a good job crimping that one. Hats off to you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take it out. Notice I saved it all in one piece just in case I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So then the instructions say to remove this grommet. It's a little hard to see. Believe it or not, it's a little hard for me to see here. Anyway, pull the grommet through. Man, they made some good grommets back then. This thing is 53 years old and still fighting for its life. What I may need to do is disassemble the distributor and get this plate up. Just a little confused because it doesn't say anything about that in the instructions. Okay, I did a couple of things. One, I put a fresh battery in my flashlight so I can reliably take a look inside there. And I doubt you could see that, but I can see the grommet. And I went ahead and grabbed my set of hooks instead of trying to fish it out with a screwdriver. Okay, as with most projects, that definitely did not go as planned. None of it is to be put onto Petronics, however. What I ran into started with the grommet that I had to remove. And if you could see the way it's put in, this is designed to go in from the top and go in. There's only room for one wire. Needed the new grommet, 2 wires. Okay. What I ended up having to do was punch the roll pin out, pull the gear, raise this up, and eventually had to run the wires through the grommet with this plate floating. I also ended up having, I don't know if you could see, I had to do a repair. I found the ground wire they were talking about, and it was attached underneath the plate, and it through a mishap of trying to fish out the old grommet, the wire got pulled loose, so I had to do a repair, and should be fine. If I get stranded by the side of the road, you'll know it wasn't, and I'll report it. I'll tell on myself. But got it back together and rechecked the gap. Nothing had changed on that. But I really don't see how you're able to fish these wires through without pulling the distributor partially apart. It doesn't say anything about it in the instructions. If someone's got a better way than I do, great. Another thing is they recommended the end play be between 8 and 10 thousandths on the distributor. As you can see, it's about 30 thousandths from what I measured. However, the shims that they supplied, when I tried installing one, it took up too much. So I went ahead and I just put it back to factory. We're still within the 60 thousandths limit here, so we're fine. At a later date, I might go through and blueprint and repair the distributor. But right now, we're just going to go ahead and go with what we have. So I'm going to go ahead and the final part of the instructions. By the way, I'm really sorry I wasn't able to show what I did, but quite honestly, I was in the mode of, I'm not sure if this is going to work, and we'll try this, we'll try this. Oh, it worked. And the only way it worked was to have everything all back together. So I'm sorry I'm not dedicated enough to pull it apart for you again. Hopefully I'm able to explain it well enough that you can figure out what was going on. But anyway, according to the instructions, we now need to put this distributor cap back on and line up the square with the square, round with the round. All right. And the instructions do say not to over tighten it. However, you don't want this flying off, trust me. I actually had it happen to me one time with a different car and a different manufacturer, but they had the same basic setup. hear noises in the background, it's one of my shop dogs, Molly. She's kind of a spazoid. But, okay. So, everything seems to be routed. Should be out of the way. I can't do these until I actually go back to getting the car started, which I don't have the rest of the wiring harness in, so there's no way I can hook it up. I could probably drop the distributor in and go ahead and rough wire it in. It's getting a little late for me right now, so I'm not going to today. I might do an updated video on that and let you know what I experienced. But as of right now, there's no real need to. The main was the install of the Pertronics, and I've heard good things about them. I don't have any doubt that it won't work. And you will also not have to worry about dealing with points ever again. Now, sorry, I'm dealing with this stupid, there we go. Okay. All right, now, once I get this back on, you will not be able to tell that this isn't an original points distributor. Now, there's several different ways I could have gone with this. I could have stuck with the points if I wanted to be truly old school. However, I do appreciate technology when it works right, and the electronic ignitions have been around long enough that they've got them down. They know what it takes to make them work. Another way I could have gone was gone to a HEI, the large cap, and gotten rid of the coil. That would have cleaned up the engine a little bit. And I did think about it. There's some companies out there that even make the HEI with the cable drive for the tach that all Corvettes use at least, I think, 74, 75. I'm not an expert, but I think that's when they switched over to the fully electronic tach. But at least my 72 has got a cable tach. And I could have also gone with a normal HEI and converted it over to the cable tach, or the electronic tach. Would have cost me an additional, I think, $400 on top of that. So this is actually the cheapest way I could go and still do an update. One of the things I might do is go through and blueprint this and change the ignition curve, which you do with the weights and springs that are inside the distributor. And that'll definitely be a separate video if I do that. But every time I've done it, it's been well worth doing. Picked up some horsepower and usually a couple of miles to the gallon if you can keep your foot out of it. Anyway, we're going to call this one good. Ran into a few problems, which hopefully I was able to let you know might happen. And go ahead, and you're probably tired to start. Thank you for making it this far, if you did make it this far. Again, tell anybody you can, any way that you can. Any new subscribers greatly appreciated. Believe me, I notice each time there is one. And thank you for watching.